gets off.
The world is yours. As for everyone else, they just live in it. What brought me to Reno, Nevada was an enigma. That which may have very well been destiny could have also arguably been a game of chance. I may have been born in the Soviet Union, but I was made in America. And it wasn't long before I realized that all you gotta do is reach out and take what you want. And because time is always working against us, it's also behind us. So I've learned to see life in my rearview mirror. Since from the moment of inception, everything is already in the past. That's why they call it the present, because the present is a gift. Before this, I was a correctional officer at a maximum security prison, where they named me the Black Dolphin, your worst nightmare. Because in my line of work, there are three kinds of people: police officers, cops, and then there's me. Exigent circumstances. Initially, I came to Reno to work as a federal agent for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, counterterrorism. The FBI training I had previously received was a big help and got me through a lot of doors. And now, it was time to really test the waters. If anyone calls me with a job, believe me, the situation can't be good, because I'm the last guy you want to call. And once again, my skill and trade has managed to take me down and into another rabbit hole.
Charlie 1, the dispatch. I'll be 10.
You call him? Didn't you do a...
Thank you for leaving the property. Don't come back for a month.
Yeah, don't come back. And
No, 6 months you keep on acting the way you do.
hey, you're holding up traffic, man.
Kyle Wesley Holmes, a.k.a. KWH, a.k.a. Kilowatt, a.k.a. Quasimodo, habitual scumbag, the kind that makes other homeless people look bad. The guy's got a rap sheet about as thick as the Bible. I mean, every crime in the book, he's done it, from misdemeanors to felonies, and only God knows what else. Most recently, he caught a domestic violence charge after his ex-wife caught him cheating. He decided it was her fault and not his, so he roughed her up a bit, and got sentenced to do a short stint in California State's finest vacation resort. And when he was released back into the outside world, he went right back to the streets and subconsequently back to the street life and back to using dope again. It's sad too, because the guy came from a decent military family. Could have really made something of himself, you know? But instead he became a wanderer, a drifter, an outcast, a real loser, misery likes company type. Rummaging through the streets looking for his next fix, staggering around in search of any little thing he can get his hands on so he can go sell it to get drugs. And when he wasn't dumpster diving, or scavenging for stuff and recyclables, or getting drunk or high, he was either attending psychotherapy, going around starting fights with people, or making frequent visits to the hospital due to his anger issues. When it came to trouble, the sky was the limit with this guy. After his divorce, it was all downhill from there. So what did he care? He had nothing to prove and nothing to lose, and if anybody tried to get in his way, he was ready to run them over.
Illegal for you to make death threats.
Jahr 1927 hat das Führer erstmals bestimmt.
Keep walking.
This idea, ho? What you gonna do? Call your fucking vagina?
Alright. All he needed to have done is when he said that, if he would have taken one more step forward, he'd just take him down. Because then he's acting on it. He's not just making threats.
Who would have thought the following day authorities would be investigating Holmes' death? Cops showed up at my job to question me, being Holmes was a frequent flyer at the bus station where I had been assigned to post, and because I knew the guy since middle school. What was really strange was they asked me more questions about the mob than they did about Holmes. Something wasn't right. The whole ordeal, Reed. It just didn't sit well with me. According to the official narrative of the event, Holmes was drunk off rum and coke when he decided to try and steal the wrong car, which in the process exploded with him in it. Little did Holmes know the vehicle belonged to a local gangster by the name of Goblin, who was ordered to be killed by a jealous lover who had hired a hitman to install a bomb under Goblin's hatchback. The whole thing was a mess. And what made it even worse was the big egos of the guys doing the investigating. I mean, they had local, state, and federal agents all over the place trying to piece it all together. But being that every one they had couldn't keep their balls in their pocket, the investigation turned into a popularity contest of wise guys just standing around measuring dicks. What a circus. And in the end, nothing got done and the thing was mysteriously labeled an open and shut case. Officials found absolutely nothing suspicious about the incident nor the surrounding circumstances. It's like everyone was just going through the motions of gathering together to drink coffee and take notes, crack a smile, high-five each other, and then be on their merry way to call it a day. They didn't even fingerprint the body they had pulled out of the vehicle. They said it was so charred that it would be impossible to obtain any prints. And besides, the cause of death was obvious, so the coroner really didn't see the need. And for whatever reason unknown, feds decided to set up surveillance on me. Can you believe it? I'm still unsure as to why, but it appeared to someone that during the questioning, I was the one asking too many questions. Go figure. Typical G-men. These were the best over-salary spooks taxpayer dollars can buy.
Hey, partner. What are you doing?
I'm supposed to leave. I just got to take a rest. I was walking around the block and I was getting tired.
What's your name? Oscar?
Yeah.
Oscar the
Okay,
Grouch.
were you just pissing right there?
No, I wasn't.
You weren't pissing? You were just fixing your pants?
Yeah.
Okay, dude. Just, this isn't a hangout spot. Okay?
Right.
I understand you might see people walk through here, but that's not cool. Try to go around. Try to use the street. The folks that own the lot, they're very concerned about people hanging out here. Okay, alright.
Squirrely guys like that hate being lectured. They just want to be on their way. I arrived in Reno about the same time Donald J. Trump was sworn in President of the United States of America. Coming to Reno was risky, but I had no other choice. I had always had a winning streak in my pursuit of a career doing what I'd love to do best, and Reno was no exception. So I took a gamble and let the chips fall where they may. It was a long shot and I was rolling the dice with everything I had on the line. But hey, you only live once. It wasn't long before Reno became my playground. It was like being in a little miniature Las Vegas. Literally. And like Vegas, Reno is a tourist town full of casinos, nightclubs, and a whole lot of partying. Weekdays I was at the airport working for the feds, which left my weekends wide open. And being I get bored easily, I took up a part-time gig bouncing nightclubs at nearby casinos. And I'd eventually move on to work in mobile patrol. But not everything was glitz and glamour. Reno had its fair share of problems. Poverty, homelessness, crime, etc. After all, Reno ranked in at number 11 for worst places to live in the United States. There was even a place not far from downtown called Tent City, which was a whole street full of homeless people camping out in tents and makeshift living quarters. In the months ahead, I would get to see a side of life I never even knew existed. But for the most part, I'd keep to myself. I was just a salmon swimming upstream.
Security. Heated up and just kicking it. Okay, just relaxing.
Pulling out of the RV park. One with the yellow sign, I think it's right over here.
Okay.
You want to talk about?
Yeah.
We got a lot of enemies. The DEA. They're part of that.
You were a special agent, or were you?
I was a part of it. 50 pounds of meth. You want to buy some of
That's
this? You want to buy some of
that's
this?
nice.
We got probably two and a half, 6, 7, probably 40 grams of crystals. Got much yet. They could be listening to us right now.
Well, sure, absolutely. I mean, technology.
It's like a TV show. I don't look for trouble. I try to just blend in with people and, look for security threats against our nation. I look for the dust and the ripples, so you know what that looks like.
Did you come down from Colorado, or?
I did.
Did you? Okay, cool.
I stayed out in the Nevada desert for a month.
Really?
And then I didn't really get to do what I wanted to do. I got my last little dig was up in Turkey. No, I was getting some weed.
Sure.
Anyway, I got sick and almost died. I had 2 shots.
How long did you plan on staying here on this location?
Actually, they were down there looking for me, I guess, and I said, "This is me."
Huh.
And they said, "Oh, good."
Well, you're the
like
guy we wanted
tall.
to talk to.
Both of them were like this tall. What I was going to tell you was, I walked out the end of the corner and took a right, and there were 2 cop cars down there with their lights on.
Okay.
I said, oh shit, that's my rig. So I was like, oh, I know I smell like weed. Can't stay here on that, right?
No. They check their cameras. They check our reports. We have to document everything. It's more of a safety concern for us because it is private property, and you have a lot of homeless folks behind. If you go, okay, see that bridge there? If you go, there's kind of like a roundabout, and that street right there is 6th Street. You can park on the side. I wouldn't advise it just because a lot of folks come through there at night, and we've had stuff happen there, and it's not safe. And I wouldn't advise parking there. You could because it's a public street, and chances are nobody's going to bother you unless you're actually on the field. If you're on public property, we can't advise you.
Sit here till morning.
Not till morning, no. I mean, I'm very lenient in terms of if you need a couple hours to get your stuff together or figure out where you're going to go, that's fine with me. But if we come back around and we see you here again, which will be in a few hours, we'll re-advise you again just because that's what we get paid to do. Yeah.
You gotta wear a vest, huh? Is it pretty dangerous, Reno?
It can be.
I don't pull guns on cops. I don't pull guns on cops. If you have a badge on, I'll do whatever you tell me. Why is it you wouldn't let me just stay till the morning?
It's more of a safety concern, like I said. I'm pretty lenient. What they would want me to do is take a picture of you, take a picture of the car, tell you to get out of here. It'll be towed. I'm not going to do all that because I've got other stuff to do, and I'm not. Just if you can, just figure out what you want to do, where you need to go, and we'll be back nighttime, probably around 10 p.m. or something. So
just trying to figure out the right direction. I was going to head down south. He said, well, anyway, you can't park here. You need to leave.
Yeah.
And we talked with him. He said, drive right down this road to the Grand something. That big ass tall building.
It's tough out here, but you can find places where it won't be an issue for you to be there overnight. It's just this isn't one of those spots. Yeah.
California, draw more money.
Yeah, for sure. That's God, guys. I thought we're dead. Excuse me, sir. Sir. Hello. Wake up. Security. Man, back there, and they wake up. Hey. You're okay? You're okay? That's needles that they're sleeping on.
Hello. Wake up. Security. Hey, you okay? You okay?
Yeah, I was already approached this morning and offered hard drugs like heroin.
It's bad stuff, so, I just caution you being out here. Okay. It's not safe whatsoever. And a lot of folks may seem like they're just wandering, they're just homeless, but some of them are not.
I try to make good decisions based on my future welfare. I'm old and almost died this winter. I had colon problems.
Yeah.
I have a bad mitral valve in my heart.
All right.
I've got a lot of shit going on. So
I hear you. But you can take the 80 and it'll turn into like the 580, 395. So if you get on there on the east, you'll see you can branch off to the right just a few miles up, and then that'll take you all the way there to Carson City, and then get on to 50.
But if I go back out to where that Walmart was by place that sells him, that's 395 south.
395 south. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All right. Okay, take care. Be safe, sir. Thank you. Take care. All right.
Break free, you're out.
Now that guy was a grade A asshole. Real special. It's not often I have to work undercover to expose dickheads like that piece of shit right there. But on occasion, it had to be done. I was born in what is now known as the former Soviet Union. My mother was an actress, and my father was the director of finance for a movie production company. We resided just minutes away from Red Square, the heart of Moscow. I was born in the mid-'80s, so I remember the fall of the USSR and the change that was to follow when the local gangs took over. If it wasn't for my father's death, my mother and I probably wouldn't have ever moved to the United States. One night, my parents went out to celebrate a business deal my father had brokered. During those days, the country was up for grabs. The local thugs knew that, which is why there was an emerging trend of gangs taking down up-and-coming entrepreneurs. It was nothing personal, but business as usual. Someone wanted my pops decommissioned, so they sent an assassin to take him out. The price of life was cheap, and there was always someone there willing to collect a ransom. The black market was thriving. And being it was no longer illegal to deal in U.S. currency, everybody was after the greenback. But like the saying goes, more money, more problems. And just like that, he was gone. No one was there to help. Even the cops stood by and did nothing. They wanted no part of it. A single mother raising a son all on her own in that country during a time of political turmoil would mean neither one of us would have a future. So my mom decided to move to America. Only problem was the thugs controlling the government had us blacklisted from leaving for the United States. Those are some really nasty people. I mean, the very idea of someone else doing well sent chills up their spine. But where there's a will, there's a way. So what did we do? We took a detour and got a one-way ticket to Mexico, El Chihuahua. From there on, it was just a matter of going north and making it to Juarez, from where we crossed into El Paso, Texas. During those times, the border was wide open, and it was simply a matter of walking in, which is exactly what we did. With the help of some very special friends, of course. As I remember it, we had to get across the Rio Grande River, a highway, and then through a fence of a local school, where we ran across a football field. From there, it was straight to the airport. This was pre-9/11, so airport security was lax. We then caught the first flight from El Paso to Los Angeles. Easy peasy. We touched down at LAX, from where we then moved to Santa Monica and then Long Beach. Southern California was great. I loved it. It was paradise, and a long ways away from the Soviet Union. This is the Lockwood landfill, a dumping ground operated by Waste Management, and it's just a 10-minute drive out from the city of Sparks, which is the next city over from Reno.
Yeah, you started.
Trying to get officers to come out here for inspections was like beating a dead horse. I really didn't mind coming out here to do patrols. It was actually a beautiful place, and with kind of a Wild West scenery, mainly so due to the wild horses. The entire inspection would generally last about 30 minutes, with wildfires and thieves being the primary concern. My first couple days of training, my training officer and I helped stop a fire nearby one of the streams. I guess some folks were enjoying Nevada's outdoors and wildlife so much they forgot it was fire season and almost set the whole place ablaze with a small campfire. The sheriff's and fire department had to come out and put an end to that party.
This is private property. Can't be here. You're loitering. Hey, horse. Hey, I'm talking to you. He's not compliant. I have to call Animal Control.
Working mobile patrol was the greatest job ever. Most of it was community patrol, officer presence type stuff. Drive around, smile, wave at people, and say hello. As long as I made my rounds, the boss didn't care, so long as we got the work done. The job took me just about everywhere, from wealthy gated communities to ghetto apartment complexes. It sure was a hell of a way to get out, explore, and see the city. There wasn't a place in Reno I didn't patrol, or at the very least pass by during my route. And it was easy. Everything was GPS tracked, so I'd get to my destination, do my inspection, chase away any vagrants and undesirables, GPS ping the location, note anything out of the ordinary in the computer, scan a QR barcode, and bada bing, bada boom. I was off to the next stop. Every once in a while I'd respond to the occasional burglary alarm, or the late night noise disturbance, which was usually just college kids partying, or your regular domestic. You add up the rare every once in a blue moon VIP escorts for ATM technicians, where all I had to do was stand around with a gun on my hip and keep lookout, while a repairman worked to fix a broken automated teller machine, and that was pretty much it. That was the nature of my job. On a typical workday, I would visit some 30 to 40 various locations, or as we called them, patrol hits. I had the keys to every door and the combination passcode to every gate. Parking garages and parking lots, business offices, shopping centers, retirement homes. Our company had contracts with everyone, including the U.S. Post Office. We did it all. Some places would even hire us to come out and to open and lock their businesses, which was just a matter of locking and unlocking entrances. Turn on the lights, snap a picture or two to confirm that I was there, and that's it. We even provided security services to storage facilities, dumping grounds, recycling centers, properties which were under development, and abandoned buildings, where we'd get homeless squatters on occasion, so I'd have to clear the vacant buildings in pitch black darkness with my sidearm. Good times. I've had a few close calls where I've been attacked and almost had to shoot the assailant. It came with the territory. A dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. In all of my experience working security, I've seen some interesting things, but nothing was like the city dump during nighttime. The landfill was about 20 minutes out from the city, away from the smog and the light pollution, and if you drive to the very top, you could see the starry sky. It was the most beautiful and the most smelliest place in Reno. I was born a free man, the traveler. I feel like Moses back in Egypt. Let my people go. Heeny, meeny, miny, mo. The streets ain't safe. Body bags and tag toes. I push up them blue line until they're nauseous. Cause in my kind of work, I've learned to be cautious. Gotta look both ways, just in case the other day I almost caught a hot one right in my chest. So I keep my gun chambered and wear a bulletproof vest as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Yeah, or no shadows at all, with my back to the walls, but who do you call? And every time I stop, I think I might have found a body. The city slums are overrun by John Gotti's. So every day I pray and say to God, I need a way out. The game of chess I call life has never been a safe house. The game of chess I call life has never been a safe house. You see what you wanna see. Cognitive bias. Undercovers wearing wires for cons and liars. Cops rolling lights and sirens. Tweeters with pliers. Where every other one is Michael Myers starting fires. Get your head out your ass and free your mind. Free your speech and unleash the beast. On the beat 7 days a week. I keep the peace and stride while the weak seek to start a war. Bobby Fischer 21 chess moves. Art of war. Reno made me feel like I was right at home. It was different, but not by far from what I was used to. You gotta always look at the pros and cons of an environment. I had a lot of work to get done, so it was best that I get a head start, because you gotta always stay several points ahead in the game. I was already making a name for myself as the security guy, but that wasn't enough. It never is. I wanted more. I don't view myself as one of the yuppies content with the mundane and measly things in life. Yes, man, getting in line to only become another brick in the wall. In situations like that, you gotta always ask yourself, what is your legacy? And what are you willing to do to improve and better yourself to get where you need to be? Some days I couldn't wait to get to work, and other days I'd get to work and I couldn't wait to get home. While conducting routine patrol, I had received an anonymous tip from a confidential human source. Now, I'd been around the block before, so this wasn't my first rodeo, so I'd done encountered some foul situations during my time as a security officer, but this had topped them all. I was informed that a subject by the name of Melissa Bowman had knowledge of Holmes' death. Melissa was a meth addict junkie, real unfit, mentally defective misfit, who liked to hang around local crack houses. Now, this girl was a cold piece of work. She knew everything and everyone. Who was who and into what. And she didn't give a shit. She'd do anything to get paid. All she cared about was supporting her drug habit. She didn't care about anything or anyone else. She didn't care about her health. She didn't care about the law or that she was on probation. She didn't even care about her newborn son, whom she used as an excuse for everything going wrong in her life. She was getting everyone knocked, even her baby's daddy, whom she had arrested after he denied that he was the father of her child. She was great for law enforcement. She provided so much intel, the police department had to designate an entire room devoted to her. They had boxes of paperwork stacked up to the ceiling. Rumor was she got involved with a dirty detective from out of town. Michael was his name, and the two had been partying together. The guy was a useless cop, a no-good investigator, so he began extorting Melissa that she gather information for him. Creating crime was Michael's job security, and I guess that's how Melissa got into doing reconnaissance work. The guy must have really held her feet to the fire, because her intel led to SWAT's Team Yellow doing raids back-to-back. For the dope dealers, it was a sign of the times. Mid to low-level peddlers were going down on the daily. Only problem was Michael had vice, so he could never do the job straight up. He had to always cut corners and take a little extra for himself. The city was hot and crawling with cops. It was great. All the dirtbags scattered like cockroaches. And because there was so many, it was non-stop. There was always something going on. Always. I wasn't the only one to take interest in Holmes' death. There was a senior investigator by the name of Terry who reopened the case and was working it day and night, when he wasn't putting his foot up asses, of course. Gals like Melissa made the perfect informants. But even then, it was a hit or miss. I mean, she had the attention span of a goldfish, so it was hard for her to keep her story straight, even when she was telling the truth. But if you could get information out of her, whatever the cost, it was priceless. She knew everything, from the money side of things, to the type of merchandise shipment, the quantity, and the quality. She even knew the weight down to a T, the origin and destination of travel, and means of transport. She even knew that shipments were coming up to 93 from Arizona and into a small trucker town in central Nevada. From there, it was going to Salt Lake City, Utah, up through Idaho and to the Canadian border, and, you guessed it, Reno City, Nevada, a known high-intensity drug trafficking area. Then it was either going to Oregon or Northern California. There's something about cities in the desert that give them an edge, almost as if the lack of scenery makes the environment feel more desolate, bringing out people's wild side. And Reno City was no Beverly Hills or Hamptons. Drugs were a huge problem, and with that followed criminal activities, most of which were fueled by drug addiction. Holmes knew something, and so did Melissa. She didn't specify what it was, but it was something big. And as Melissa explained, Holmes had talked about skipping town just prior to the incident. There's a certain occupational hazard that comes with being in my line of work, which is usually inherited with the more you learn. And being that I knew my way around, I learned something new every day. I had patrolled every nook and cranny. There wasn't a place in the Reno City area I wasn't familiar with. Exchanges were going on daily, and even the peons were making a profit hand over fist. And with as much law enforcement activity as you had, there was almost always some kind of hanky-panky going on, with someone turning to look the other way. It was about then that work was picking up and I was moving through the streets like chess pieces. I was a part of the action, playing cat and mouse with the bad guys. Yeah, it was a bunch of yahoos playing cowboys and Indians, and everyone had their own definition of law and order. But what would you expect from a casino town? It was all ego, and all about lights, camera, action. Some cases come a dime a dozen, but this particular one was a needle in a haystack. I hate to be the one to tell people I told you so, but don't say that I did. As I began gathering records on Holmes, the more info I obtained, the more questions I had. It all started with a news article. Then came the death certificate, coroner's report, criminal history, credit and financial records, history of residency, and so on. I became so obsessed working this case that I even gathered information on Holmes's relatives, girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, you name it. Anyone and everyone, including Holmes, was under my microscope. I've never really cared much for people's opinions and assumptions, since my assumptions were always better, and usually more accurate. I began making phone calls. Maybe, just maybe, someone could pull some strings for me and get a hold of the photographs from the crime scene. But what I came to find out is that when the going gets tough, the tough really do get going. Nobody wanted to help in investigating Holmes's death. I had consulted with sergeants, lieutenants, and captains of various police departments, and you would think with a high-profile case like this, someone would try to make their career with it by getting involved. But they didn't. Nobody cared. At face value and upon first impression, I would say the case was one of a conspiracy. But a conspiracy for what? What was the motive? Really, nothing was adding up, which is great if you're looking to ask more questions, but would have been better if I was coming up with just as many answers. I remember spending days on the phone with FBI agents, arguing back and forth as to what I believed really happened, and getting laughed at. The only person at that time to take me seriously was a Secret Service guy out of Riverside. But even then, nothing. Investigators just didn't want to get involved. The case sounded absurd, and nobody wanted to risk the humiliation. I've always had a talent in back engineering and reconstructing situations and scenarios in my mind's eye, and the theories I was coming up with were ridiculous but likely true, one way or another. And as much as I tend to exaggerate, the reality of my speculation is usually much worse than originally theorized. That's why with cases like this, I hope I'm wrong. I'd rather be a kooky conspiracy theorist than actually come to learn that I'm a great investigator, or, even worse, clairvoyant. These kinds of situations are always time sensitive, so you gotta move fast or miss out on crucial opportunities and important clues. I've always had a way with words. That's how I size up situations. The better our vocabulary, the better we can put imagery in perspective with words and piece puzzles together. It's like painting a picture, or like the saying goes, a picture's worth 1,000 words, written out on a nice big fat affidavit. My logic is that I always expect the worst case scenario, but hope for the best. And when I go out on a hunch, I treat my inference as factual, even if it's not. I know it is, because I don't know that it isn't. That's how I test my silly ass theories. Like a good scientist working to validate or invalidate his hypotheses by conducting social experiments.
Excuse me. How you doing?
I'm good, honey. How are you?
Good. So what are you doing? Just hanging out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why?
Because you can't be hanging out here. It's private property. This whole entire lot.
It's like reading the news.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, you can't. You can go and read it somewhere else, like Kmart or something. You just can't do it here. Okay. All right. Yep.
Now, the city of Reno was something else. It was unlike any other town in which I had previously resided. It was a dynamic town, I'll say that much. It's easy to be pessimistic and simply notice the negative and overlook the positive, but if we're talking about the ugly side of things, Reno had plenty. And because I'd done enough traveling and moving around, this wasn't my first rung up the ladder. From the freaks to the weirdos, the scum, the spooks, the goons, the misfits, crazies, Looney Tunes, toothless wonders, wackos, crooks, criminals, thugs, and gangsters, keeping toms and prowlers, the place was rich in opportunists looking to exploit others for their own personal gain. Most crimes were property crimes, fueled by substance abuse. I don't know how the police managed, but they did, and did a great job doing so. When I wasn't chasing undesirables and running up and down stairs and clearing buildings with my gun out, I was cruising the streets, which was usually during the night shift. The nightlife taught me that there is a whole other world out there which most people don't even know exists. It's like every other night there I was driving past a crime scene. From burglaries to petty thefts, domestic violence cases, vandalism, battery and assaults, and your occasional robberies. Car thefts were big too, and car thieves were getting so good that they were using smartphones to hack their way into vehicles. It was a dog-eat-dog world and you couldn't trust anyone, but then again, I never did, since I was taught to always be cautious. Still, the problem which plagued Reno persisted. Something most people didn't want to admit, but it was obvious. Remember Michael, Melissa's dirty cop friend? For some strange reason, he took a particular interest in me. Now, I wasn't great at anything, but I was okay at a lot of things, and apparently pissing off dirtballs was one of them. Now, I'm unsure as to what I said to get this guy all fired up about me, but he was hot on my trail and wanted to know what I knew about Holmes' death. It was about that time that I had obtained all the security experience I possibly could and had worked every security job and post there was in Reno, from surveillance to security and passenger screening at the airport, where I became an expert at detecting groin anomalies. Now that was one heck of a job, you know, being at the front line of Homeland Security and all. Besides that, I'd even done work as an armed truck driver money messenger, where I'd almost flipped over an armored truck I was driving on my way back from Fernley. Hey, I'd been pulling a 16-hour shift, so don't make fun of me, okay? But nothing was like mobile patrol. I got more experience from working 6 months of patrol than most people will get in their lifetime. And all jokes aside, most of the folks I dealt with on a day-to-day basis were good folks who just lost their way. It was a humbling experience, and I learned to never look down on anyone I wasn't willing to help up. Unless they really got out of line, at which point it was beyond my control and above my pay grade. I remember one night I got caught up in an undercover operation federal running downtown at a property I was patrolling on foot. One of their guys was dressed up like he was homeless, thought I was someone else and tried to attack me with a metal pipe to see how I'd react. Luckily, I responded accordingly before placing him in my handcuffs. Sheesh, what a mix-up. But eventually everything turned out fine. Just a little misunderstanding is all. My job was like playing Pac-Man in real life. You go here, go there, spot an octopie or two. Oh, I think I got something over there. Seems like we got a couple of sleepers lounging. Let's go take a closer look and see if we can make contact. Sleepers were frequent at this location. Something that's expected in what is a commonplace for loitering and trespass activity. After a while, you get tired of issuing trespass advisements. I mean, these folks don't have anywhere to go. You tell them to leave, they will, but when you're not around, they'll be back.
What's going on, guys? How you doing? Hey. You guys just read. No, I understand that, but it is private property. So, whole thing is, whether you're camping out or you're not, you're just laying down for a moment. It's not okay with the folks that own the lot and the next lot over. They've got an issue with that just because it's private property. Yeah. Okay. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you. All right. You folks have a nice day.
Now, what was thought to be an octopie turned out to be a Pikachu. Another case of mistaken identity, I guess. Now, that was pretty standard procedure. One of the first few times I visited this property, I actually had a guy camping out nearby. He was carrying an enormous dagger about the size of a machete. You think I got out of my patrol car to talk to him? Think again. I may be stupid, but I ain't that stupid. In that type of situation, you just stay put in your patrol vehicle and shout verbal advisements out your window and hope they listen. I've caught so many folks hiding in the bushes here, it really makes you wonder how you can have an empty field that will likely never be put to use, yet someone continues to pay for security to stop by and make sure no one's out here sleeping. Now let me tell you about this pig pen. You want to talk about draining the swamp? This was it. This was the source of everything wrong with the city and where all the city's problems had stemmed from. It wasn't the thugs or the druggies that made Reno a zoo. It was this place, the Epic Center. I called it the Emerald City of Oz. And Virginia Street was the Golden Brick Road. This was the easiest security post I had ever worked. All I did was eat, do surveillance, and a foot patrol every couple hours. I got so much online training done while at work that they should have made me the director of the FBI. Everyone there loved me, even the monarch. One day when I was helping her carry money bags of funds embezzled from the public out the back door, she looked me in the eyes, shook my hand, and said thank you.
Good job, boys. Now let me hear everybody say money. Let me hear you say not guilty. What law? What grand jury?
Believe it or not, corruption wasn't the best word to use to describe the place. I can't help but think about the vast differences between the haves and the have-nots, and how the everyday things which most of us take for granted are unattainable to the folks who live on the streets, only to become victims who have succumbed to the obstacles of their very own environment. It never made me feel good, or as though I was somehow winning, when I would see others suffer under such harsh conditions and unfavorable circumstances. And the more I worked patrol, the more I realized that there is something really wrong with our society. I have went down some of the most darkest, coldest, and loneliest streets and alleyways that exist in America. So I've seen the homelessness, the gangs, crime, and vice. And conversely, been places on the other side where the grass really is greener. Working patrol was a lonely job. In that, I spent most of the time in my own thoughts, which really gave me a new perspective on life because I would reflect on and question those many elements which were pertinent to my surroundings. Around every corner, there was a new adventure awaiting, a life lesson to be learned, and knowledge and wisdom to be gained. There is a thin red line between love and hate, and when faced with real-life dilemmas, all the little things which we worry about seem to fade, and we realize who and what it is in our lives that really matters. Call it an awakening, moving into the light, an epiphany, or whatever you want to call it. Life really has no roadmap, and every day is another day we venture into uncharted territory to be tried and tested by the time and space continuum, and a work of art in the making, made possible by our imagination. If only we had more leaders who capitalized less on keeping people in the dark, we'd start off on the right foot, and with more knowledge for building blocks for us to build on. Thus, would arrive at the same conclusion, but much sooner, saving ourselves all the pain and heartache. Things still wouldn't be easy, but life would be so much easier. But then again, I guess it's easier said than done. To quote American comedian Bill Hicks, if we took all the money we spend on the military every year and put it to use to feed and clothe the poor of this world, which it would do many times over, then we can explore space, inner and outer, together as one race. I grew up in Southern California, the greater Los Angeles area to be more specific. And growing up, I was a little thug, or at the very least a wannabe. So for me to wind up working a job which required me to wear a uniform was unimaginable. I've been jumped, had people pull knives on me, take shots at me, you name it. And I wasn't the type to run the other way because I would always run towards the danger. I've been through just about every sad neighborhood there was in LA. I ran those streets day and night. Nevada was different. It had its own aura and environment. Most folks were friendly and welcoming, while others, not so much. But if it wasn't for the mob back in the days, we wouldn't have the Nevada we have today. And even till this day, Nevada ranks second for mortgage fraud. Florida's #1. So you can imagine the kind of numbers we're talking about here. White-collar crime is big business everywhere nowadays, and this place happened to fit the bill to some extent. Word on the streets was the Hoover Dam was getting ready to break. Now, the monarch of Reno was planning a coup to secede from the Union in an attempt to usher in an egalitarian utopia. That's how the feds got involved, and they meant business. To quote Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, with the feds, you do 80% of the time. So if you get hit with 10, you'll damn near do 9. Now, some say Vegas was central to all the dirt going on in Nevada, which simply wasn't so. Vegas was truly a tourist town, thus is known as critical to U.S. infrastructure, which makes it hot, because it's always in the public's eye, domestically and internationally. Yeah, sure, there are things going on in Vegas which shouldn't be, but much of that is exaggerated. Every big city has its flaws. That's just the nature of our society. But The places you really gotta watch out for are mid-sized towns, which are just big enough to be relevant and facilitate constant activity, but just small enough to stay off the radar. Reno wasn't the butt crack of Nevada. That would be Battle Mountain. And it wasn't the armpit, because that would be Ely. Reno was somewhere in between, which made it the belly button. Hence the saying, in the belly of the beast. When I wasn't working, I was working on making my next move my best move, so I would try out for various law enforcement agencies. For written exams, psychological tests, physicals, interviews, and even polygraphs. And I was always training non-stop. Training was my thing. That's what I did. I even tested for U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, but didn't get the job because the hiring agent said I was overqualified. And they wonder why they're understaffed. When I wasn't doing that, reading books and studying, I was up nights late either developing mobile applications or working on computer code, which I love computer code. I could program all day and night. Ethical hacking, penetration testing, hunting for bug bounties, recording hip-hop music, trading crypto, and doing hobbyist tech stuff. Things I enjoy, like messing around with my Raspberry Pi and talking to my Alexa. Oh, and editing this documentary, of course, which has been years in the making. Things were going well, and most days I had no complaints. Life was good. I did what I wanted to, put in my hours at work, then come home, kick off my boots and relax, and have a drink or 2 or 6 or 12. And I enjoyed my job. The work was right up my alley. I got to help people and play the protector and defender of my community, travel around and visit new places, and look like a badass doing it. And the way I did things set me aside from other officers, as I handled matters by taking a slightly different approach. I must say I was on the right track, but couldn't see the bump in the road coming up ahead, which would later prove to be a turning point in my journey.
Not sure if you are aware of this, but this is private property, so is the next lot over, okay? So anytime folks are hanging out, I have to come out and I have to give these advisements because the owners of the lot are very concerned that we got traffic and people coming through, hanging out, camping out overnight, okay? So I just got to give you that advisement. Were you waiting for someone, or?
Yeah, I was waiting for a friend. I could wait.
Okay, all right, cool. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. All right. Hey, Terry. Thanks for checking in. I just had a question for you regarding Pioneer Plaza. I was here yesterday, and I had a male subject who I gave an advisement to in the back of the strip mall in the alleyway there. And I wasn't able to document it because the patrol live had shut out on me after I took his picture. But I seen him here today. I'm here right now, and as I arrived on scene, he was sleeping in the same spot, or just about in the same spot where I talked to him yesterday. Okay, I think he's seen me, and he might have went into the restroom. But I'm gonna check it out right now.
Our environment tends to reflect back on our psychology at the very least. There has always been the argument of nature versus nurture. That is, do people come into the world as they are, and are thus predisposed to certain characteristics and psychological traits, or do people inherit such from their environment? Research suggests both nature and nurture play equal roles in shaping and molding who we are. If I say, look at this place, look at how messed up the environment has become, someone can counter-argue and say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or label me as pessimistic for simply making a keen observation. Is the glass half empty or half full? Or the chicken and egg analogy? I guess we could spend all our days speculating in procrastination. Or we can look at the bigger picture and take responsibility for our communities and become the good change which we desire to see in the world. The choice is up to you. In other words, don't persecute the messenger.
Do you remember we had that conversation yesterday? I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about Taco Bell. I'm worried about back there. No, you were laying down back there when I pulled up. No, really. You had a bag, yeah, you had a bag. Yeah. You were chilling in the corner there. That's not the report I got. That's not the report I got. Don't worry about the report I got. It's about the same thing that you were doing yesterday. Alright. Okay. You weren't just lounging. Alright. Okay. We keep getting these reports you're going to be trespassed. I know, sir. Yeah, it is. It is offensive.
People like that guy ruin the Second Amendment and open carry for everyone. Here I am trying to do my job, and this Yankee Doodle comes along to tell me how bad my parking is. If he wasn't open carrying the gun on his right hip, I would have probably told him to shut the fuck up. But one thing about firearms, they're the ultimate equalizer. When you know the other guy's carrying one, you tend to think twice about how you exercise your First Amendment right. And by the looks of this guy, he wasn't very intelligent. Because if he was, he wouldn't be broadcasting to the whole world that he's packing heat.
It is a bunch of other people. It is a bunch of... Really, I gave three advisements to three different people, and they all look different. What? No. 3 different people doing the same thing that you're doing, and they all look different. It's not. The what? Oh man, don't come at me with this bullshit, man. That's bullshit.
We have a winner! Now he's no longer thinking about the guy in blue. Seems like Yankee Doodle Bruce Willis was really proud of his sidearm so much that he wanted to see how I'd react as he casually lurked in the background.
I will trespass you. I will trespass everybody back there. I don't give a shit what color they are. I will trespass everyone. You understand that? And next time you'll go to jail. Yeah, that's alright, so enjoy your food.
Good life, baby. And that's about as gangster as the job gets. When people insult my intelligence, common courtesy goes right out the window. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Fuck you and have a nice day. Now where's my promotion, you fucking fucko? With all the surveillance, security, and police presence, you would think we'd be living in a perfect utopia. But by the looks of it, we don't. Now, this was something you would expect to only see in third world countries. Oh, look, those devious diabetics left their insulin needles lying all over the floor again. In the land of the blind, he with one eye is king. And I had a pretty good grasp on where most of this crap originated from. When we think about how the drug trade and drug use has been misportrayed and sensationalized by the mainstream, what we're really seeing is the aesthetics of entertainment. But when you go out into the streets and the communities, you get to see things from behind the scenes. And a side of that world nobody wants to talk about or advertise. It's a totally different ballgame. What's that you say? Another insulin overdose? Gosh darn it. It's all become so routine that I understand how cops and first responders can become desensitized over time to all the drama and nonsense they have to put up with. And people do make their own choices, so in most cases, people can't really blame anyone but themselves. However, there are those who profit from others' misery, which really makes you wonder, which came first, the chicken or the egg? It's almost unavoidable. So, be happy. Everything is okay. Besides, if you want to fix this mess, think again, because the casino slot machine odds are against you, and the house always wins. The Holmes case turned out to be much worse than I had anticipated, and in the process, I learned of a Ponzi scheme. By now, it was no secret that certain people who had a stronghold locally were the root cause to the environment being what it was. Believe what you want, but some facets to the biggest little city spelled out a racket. The more I investigated, the more roadblocks I encountered. This is exactly why you can never lose your sense of humor. Because when you got all the odds going against you, that's all you really got. Which is why they can't keep a good clown down. What lies up ahead is often unknown. Some of us are enticed by mystery and the seeking to know, while others are frightened by the very idea of knowledge, in which case, ignorance is bliss. I was coming up with names of all sorts. These people were working hard, but the question was who were they working for, because it wasn't in the best interest of the people, I can say that much. I've looked over every piece of evidence in relation to Holmes and knew that I was onto something. And it doesn't matter the humiliation. When you believe in something, you go all the way and stand your ground and don't back down, because it'll all be worth your while eventually. When people chase fantasies, they wind up chasing their own tail, like a silly dog. And I wasn't chasing anything or anyone, but seeking justice. It's the only way to maintain balance and equilibrium.
Hey, what's up? What's up? What are you doing? Just chilling? Talked to him before. Fella in the green. What's your name? Scott? Okay, Scott. I know we've talked before about this property and the folks that own it. They don't want anybody hanging out, so that's why I'm here. Just a friendly, kind reminder. If you're just passing through, but every time I come through here, I always see somebody hanging out, so I got to give everybody the same advisements. Okay, so whether it's you or the next guy, whoever, I have to give the same advisements to everyone. All right. Hello? Hello? Okay, thank you, sir. Bye. He got stuck or what? Jeez. All right. Well, it's legal now, so, you know, merry legal pot day. What's up, man? Hey, partner. Excuse me, sir. How you doing? It's private property. You're more than welcome to go anywhere else, but this lot here, next lot over and behind there, that empty field, it's private property, and the folks that own it ask for us to come around and give these advisements, okay? I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Excuse me, sir. Sir. Hello. Wake up. Security. Hey. You're okay? You're okay? All right. This is private property, and it's not a safe place for you to be sleeping, okay? All right. So I'd really appreciate it if you got to vacate. Just keep in mind that lot and this lot here, private property. If you go to that bridge right there, that's fine. Okay? Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
I wonder how many times he's heard that one before. Probably as many, if not more times than I've had to say it.
Hey, Terry. I'm at Keystone Investments, and if I understand correctly, it's not just that empty field that's ours, but also the one across from it. Okay, so like you know where the freeway is, and there's kind of like that hole in the ground. Okay, all right, yeah, sewer area exactly. So if they're there, trespass them as well. Yeah, I got someone over here. I mean, they literally have like a whole camp set up of a tent and everything. So, and I just vacated another fella who's sleeping with a hypodermic needle next to him.
These are no sanitary living conditions for any human being to live in. But hey, what can you do? Not like the monarch cares or is willing to make a genuine effort in giving the town a makeover. Yes, I even worked security for McDonald's. I guess after a McDonald's worker messed up an order for a customer, that customer decided it would be wise to pull one of the workers through the drive-thru window to teach them a lesson. It was after that incident that McDonald's decided to hire security officers to assign all of their locations in Reno and Sparks.
Went to a venue, and before anyone could place an order, she even ate the menu. Yo, there's no limit to her appetite. She can eat an 8-ounce steak and half a bite. Drinks a 2-liter soda and just a sip. Oops, I meant diet soda. Don't forget, say all you want, she gon' do what she do. And if you try to get in her way, she'll even eat you. Oh no, I smell trouble. Superstars fries and the Big Mac double. Want an elephant charging at you, what do you do? Look who escaped from the zoo. She don't give a fuck. Oh no.
What are you doing today?
7 million years old, man. I was a very small child.
You're 7 million years old.
I've been sent to class 2, you know, like my brother, his twin, my brother Jesus. He's number 1.
Your brother Jesus is number 1. All right.
That's not probably going to tell everyone, but I take care of New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, the 2016 inspection for Reno, which is in class.
All right. Okay, all right.
Popcorn or pop chicken, bucket of Popeyes straight from my hot kitchen. Listen, you can't stop a whale, so don't even try it, cause you probably fail. Oh no, I smell trouble. Supersized fries and the Big Mac double. Want an elephant charging at you, what do you do? Look who escaped from the zoo. She don't give a fuck. Oh no, I smell trouble. Supersized fries and the Big Mac double. Want an elephant charging at you, what do you do? Look who escaped from the zoo. Gargantuan. Yo, that's off the hook, man. This is crazy. I never heard anything like this before. What's up with that? She really ate utensils? Yeah, that was before a helicopter landed on her because the pilot mistook her for a landing pad.
Ooh, me first, gimme. I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello, goodbye. I'm late. Now hurry up and give me my overpriced mocha latte with cream and fireworks, cause I've got a meeting with people who are more important than you. Oh, my fur and whiskers. For the uninitiated, if you don't have a line of sight, you can't hear what they're really saying. Out in these streets, you're either incredibly smart or incredibly stupid. Because for as hard as you work to get what you want, you gotta work twice as hard to keep what you have once you've got it. Because there's always someone working twice as hard to take what you've earned. They say you shouldn't burn bridges, but I say, if you find yourself doing the same thing over and over, driving yourself in circles, and expecting a different outcome each time, burning a bridge to never look back behind you may be your best bet if it yields a change in your direction for the better. For the 3+ combined years I've worked security, law enforcement, and public safety, I've had an invaluable experience and learned more than some folks will learn in their entire careers. Efficiency. You gotta make the most of your learning experiences. That is, don't count the time, but make the time count. Take what you've learned and apply it elsewhere to better serve your needs. My entrepreneurial spirit was calling me to change trajectory. I had to get out of this place. Things just weren't safe anymore, and me being nosy, or as I prefer to call it, inquisitive, only generated that much more interest and attention from unwanted sources. By now, it was safe to assume I was an alright security officer, and even more so of an investigator. And that's just it. Once I master the work, I get bored easily and start looking for other ways to keep myself preoccupied. The true definition of a workaholic. The thing about success, or what makes a person successful, is that once you arrive at a milestone, you've got to start working towards your next goal. It's our short-term goals that help us achieve long-term success, which is why I try and focus on the work. Everything else is just a distraction. No more preaching and trying to teach others the way in which they should go. You've got to focus on you. And don't cast pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn to tear you in pieces.
Hello? Excuse me. Wake up. Hey, sir. Sir, security. Sir, wake up. You're on private property. Yep. Gotta get up and gotta vacate. Alright, what's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Don't have a name? Okay. It's private property. Please don't come back here, alright? It's not a safe place to be for you. And the folks that own this lot don't want anyone here, so for future reference, if you keep coming back here, you're going to keep seeing us, alright? Thank you.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Ding, ding-a-ling.
Is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Yes, Anton, Special Agent announced. As previously discussed, I'll be waiting to meet with you at the downtown Reno City bus station today at 1400 hours. I'll be expecting you. Until then, bye.
Anytime you walk into a room full of cigar smoke when there's a no smoking sign posted just right outside the door, you know something is up. And once again, as usual, I pissed somebody off big time. And it wasn't anything particular I did, but more so that my behavior got a lot of attention from persons of interest. And I was on to something big in regards to Holmes' investigation, which brought a lot of heat. This wasn't the first time I had a sit-down meeting with a special agent, and it wouldn't be my last either. Secret meetings with mysterious figures in strange places, I guess. I've always had a theory that the best strategy is no strategy, and the best plan is no plan at all. It's like using a blank canvas as a roadmap. You just fill it in as you go along. Or, as the saying goes, cross that bridge when you get there. I had come to a fork in the road, and although Reno was good to me for the time being, I was no longer welcome. To me, everything is a coin toss, and as Agent Anus put the picture in perspective for me, he gave me a heads up about a couple of rogue renegades with badges who were riding my coattail. And Michael, the dirty detective, was one of them. He said they were either pirates looking to steal my investigation, crooked cops who were worried I knew too much, or they were simply looking for a fall guy for something, you know, a scapegoat. I was right on the money about Holmes. I had hit a bullseye, but didn't have all the information just yet to draw a concrete conclusion as to what the hell really happened, but I was close. Some people look for a way in. I was looking for a way out. I had my back to the ropes, and I was ready to sock it to him with all I got. Like a big-ass tidal wave. It was all or nothing, with everything on the table. I was going for corner pocket, you see. The funny thing about time is that it's always working against us, so you've got to stay several points ahead in the game. I had already gone back to the drawing board from the time I had set foot in Reno, contemplating my next step. I needed a makeover, a fresh start with a clean slate. It was about time for me to get out of there and pursue a path of prosperity, a better life, you know? It was time for change. Knowledge is the key, that's why I read, and writing helps me gather my thoughts and refine the things I've learned. Not to sound too cynical, but I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, so the superficial things were never my cup of tea, because fads fade away, but perseverance is forever. Now, I'm not gonna say the job was getting to me, but I was getting tired, especially having to put up with all the thuggery and hoodlum activities. Don't get me wrong, kicking ass and taking names could be fun, but even that gets old after a while. And there was a shift in the surrounding energy and environment, and as the days progressed, I became more watchful as the tensions built. I can't confirm nor deny the content of information Special Agent and I had discussed, but we had reached an agreement, and he suggested an offer which I could not refuse, and leaving town was paramount to our common understanding. Human empathy. It's a strange thing. When you go places you've never been and meet people from all different walks of life, you come to realize how much our differences are what make us so much similar. It's a paradox, an enigma. The suffering people endure can happen to anyone, rich or poor. There really is no class in the brotherhood of man, just a work and a service expected from us to contribute to the family of humanity. Each one bringing forth a living stone according to their faith and ability to place where it may fit, in hopes that our part helps complete the Great Pyramid, which is the great work to which we are all the cornerstone. From street corners to alleyways to the suburban life of gated communities, I think we're all seeking answers to what life on Earth is all about and our place in the universe. And I don't think we're there yet, but it's hidden in plain sight, right in front of us. And we may joke and laugh and entertain, but all in all, we can't forget and lose sight of what's important, who we are, free from fear and free to be, lest we look down and lose our balance and fall off the tightrope. Mankind has always aspired to ascend in knowledge, fueled by a desire to know, to come from up under and rise like the sun, in all of its splendor shining brightly, and through grace attain the wisdom sought out which helped lead our forefathers out of the caverns and caves of Plateau. And then, you have this guy. He knows when it's the right time to come out. Look at him. He's like, what are you looking at? What do you want from me, huh? And that's what working security in Reno was like. That is, every day was Groundhog's Day.
Hang on. I guess we gotta turn our cars off now. PD told me their shit got stolen a while ago. Yeah. I swear you told me Plaza 800, and that's where I was at looking for you. I swear. But that's all right. He hasn't talked or anything? No. When you get a picture, we're going to formally advise him that he's trespassed, and next time we will call the cops and he will go to jail. Hey! Hey, partner! Hey, wake up, dude! What's going on? Why are you constantly coming back here after being told you can't be here? This gentleman, my partner, has told you numerous times not to be here. You've been caught here several times, and you're told not to be on this property loitering. Why are you here? Do you have your ID? You don't have your ID. What's your name?
My name is Scott.
Scott, you're formally being trespassed. We're going to take your picture. If you come back here, you will go to jail. We will have you arrested next time you come back here. This is not a hangout spot. Not back there, not out front here, okay?
No, I'm going to put my hat on.
Okay, he's going to take your picture right now. You got it? All right. You're formally trespassed. Yeah, next time just call the cops. What? What was that? I heard you say something. Okay, you were sleeping. You were sleeping here on private property. Folks that pay us to come around here ask us to give these kinds of advisements because nobody's supposed to be sleeping out here. If you're sleeping out here and you get hurt or some shit happens, it's going to fall back on the property owner. And they don't want liability. So that's why we have to come out here and tell you these advisements, okay? Private property. That's it. Okay, someone, there you go. See, that's what we don't want that here. What?
I was even spending money. That's it.
You were sleeping. Were you spending money to sleep here? I think it's disrespectful when you had multiple advisements and you keep coming back. You should know better. You seem like a reasonable person. You understand what I'm saying. I don't think that you're not a reasonable person. So if you understand what I'm saying, why is it we have to give you multiple advisements? Does that make sense? You're not. I know you're not out of it. Like you're not a crazy person. I can tell, right? Because we're told, right. So you should understand. So if we're giving you these advisements, you understand English and you understand these advisements. So you should not be coming back here. I should not have to come out here to talk to you. Okay? I'm just pissed off. I went all the way to Plaza fucking 800.
Somebody finally listened, which means they read my affidavit. Now, FBI agents from DC are agents of a whole different breed. They are the cornerstone of the Bureau. But you can't just be any geek off the street. You gotta be savvy and have all your wits about you. Gotta earn your keep. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Even the local agents here weren't too fond of their own kind who are out-of-towners. And with an agency as prestigious as the Bureau, everything's a secret. Even if you have the clearance, it's like pulling teeth trying to get these guys to be straightforward. And now I understand why. I lit a gas under someone's ass, which must have rattled their cage because certain characters weren't too happy about the agents coming all the way from headquarters to ask questions. They didn't like outsiders coming into their territory to conduct investigations, for whatever reason. It either made them feel as though they're subjects, or they were just disgruntled they weren't being let in on the action. I had spent endless hours on research in my investigation, and Lady Justice may be blind, but she is real and continues to hold the scales, and I was as relentless and persistent as J. Edgar Hoover. Now, I had a breakthrough in the investigation when I managed to obtain Holmes' coroner's report. If it wasn't for that document, the case would have hit a dead end. Keep in mind, I was already under surveillance locally, which made this new law enforcement presence unwanted, as it threw a monkey wrench into what was already going on in the background, thus changed everything. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Maryland took note when I had placed a FOIA request with the Justice Department in regards to Holmes. There was a discrepancy between federal and state records, which prompted a further review. Neither the prosecutor nor the judge had ever encountered a scenario that was anything like this before. It didn't matter that the investigators from D.C. were inquiring into something that had nothing to do with Reno or Nevada. But when the feds start making these kinds of inquiries, it becomes an opportunity for them to get into everything. And that raised some serious concerns for some folks. Because these kinds of situations always have a domino effect. It's simply inevitable. Whatever the rhyme or reason, I'm usually mellow and keep my composure, even in times of turmoil, but can turn up on the drop of a dime when necessary to assert myself. This was where the rubber meets the road. I had already agreed to leave Reno behind, and this was a clear indicator that I was almost ready to make the move. And the white surveillance van, hidden in plain sight, was my cue to get going.
It blocks your vision, the handlebars are...
He's gonna... I think he's having...
Anyway, I'm not voting.
think he's having a fit. He's gonna try to, he might try to lunge at one of us.
Wir wollen uns all das erklären, was hier draußen auf der Luitpold Arena wichtig ist zu wissen.
What? Hey, you gotta leave. You're trespassing. You already you threatened us. All right. All right. Let's get out of here. You gotta 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 leave. Hey, get off the property. Hey, you gotta get out of here. Alright, get out of here. Hey, back up! Back up! Back up! Back up! Leave! Back up! You're not gonna... Back up! Back up! Leave! You're trespassing! Leave right now! Walk away! Walk away! Stop threatening me! Walk away! Get back! Walk away! I'll kill you! Get back! I'm telling you right now, get back! Start walking! You're gonna go to jail! You're trespassing! Stop threatening me! Get back! Get out of here! Start walking! Leave now! Leave now! Stop threatening me! Leave! Get out of here! I'm telling you right now! You better calm down!
Drink water! Keep pursuing me! Drink water! Oh, and I gotta drink water, and they pursue me like a devil. So go ahead and arrest me. They pursue me for a drink of water I got, I'm sick of it. Every day. Well, you know what? I drink water in there, and you'll pursue me like a terrorist. I'm sick of it. Why are you so small that I'm standing here? I came back of my own free will because y'all stupid. Pepper spray in my face for a drink of water. And he raised it in his hand.
It's because you said you were going to kill him, that's why.
Oh yeah, I sure did, didn't I?
You did, I was there, I heard it.
At times, I'm not sure as to what kind of games we're all playing. It was the bottom of the ninth, and I would have struck out had I not been on the ball. And even though I had been throwing a curve this whole time, all that did was help me adjust my game plan. I wasn't about to give up and let someone else bat for me. That just didn't seem like a viable option. I had to step up and swing for the fences. This was Major League. Some say competition is a sin, which is why I don't compete. I just work on improving myself. I had gathered enough information in the Holmes investigation to compile and submit a report which would secure a grand jury indictment. And in the blink of an eye, just like that, I had managed to hit a home run and out the ballpark. The feds already knew this, since they responded to the initial copy of my affidavit requesting an investigation. And as it turned out, Holmes' death was just the tip of the iceberg. Sometimes the empirical evidence in an investigation can yield clues to more evidence and to crimes being committed which might be unrelated or separate from the original inquiry. You know, small things lead to big things, and what the Holmes incident revealed was a multi-jurisdictional racketeering operation. RICO status, run by a mini mob. What weren't they doing? For law enforcement, Christmas came early. It was going down, from Reno to Southern California. And apparently, Holmes' sister was a hotshot in SoCal and worked for the city and was part of the whole ordeal. You want to talk about a chain reaction? This thing was big, because when those tactical police uniforms and jackets with yellow lettering come out, you know that you know what just hit the fan. It's like J. Edgar Hoover rose out of his grave to make a comeback for a special encore presentation. To quote Christopher Priest, author of The Prestige, every great magic trick consists of 3 parts, or acts. The pledge, where the magician shows you something ordinary, like a deck of cards. The second act is called the turn, where the magician takes the ordinary something and makes it extraordinary. Now you're looking for the secret, but you won't find it because you're not really looking. You don't really want to know because you want to be fooled. And you won't clap yet because making something disappear isn't enough. You have to bring it back, which is why every magic trick has a third act, the hardest part, which is called the prestige. Holmes was the magician, a real Harry Houdini. But what do you call the one who learns of and exposes the magician's secret, which brings the show to an end? It was abracadabra time. No ifs, ands, buts, or maybes. And the force didn't discriminate. Justice had dawned and was on the horizon. Luke 8:17. For nothing is hidden that will not be made manifest, nor is anything secret that will not be known and come to light. The press was gonna have a field day with this, a real media frenzy, and some of those people won't see the light of day. The eye in the sky was always watching, no doubt. And I really hope those folks like wearing orange and living in gated communities, because that's all that was in their future. Because they all had one-way tickets to the federal vacation resort, unlimited stay. The FBI exhumed what was believed to be Holmes's body and learned that it wasn't, was that of a John Doe, which meant that Holmes was still out there somewhere and was now the prime suspect in his own death. As it turned out, Holmes wasn't even really homeless. That was just all an act, a facade, smoke and mirrors. The motive as to why he would fake his death is still unknown at this time, but it's suspected that there are a multitude of contributing factors, like insurance money, organ trafficking, and Holmes may have been connected to other serious crimes for which he didn't want to face punishment. So he forced someone else to take his place, which to him was one man's trash is another man's treasure. As for Michael, the dirty cop, he was a rookie looking to make a name for himself, which is why he got sloppy, and the whole time he was conducting surveillance, he was also being surveilled, which is how he got caught. And Melissa, well, she eventually flipped on Michael and turned him into internal affairs. She thought she was going to get off easy playing the single mom card, but things went south real quick when she started making demands, which resulted in her losing custody of her son, getting hit with fines, and community service, which she loved since she was already servicing the community for free in one way or another. Michael lost his badge and got off on probation, but he won't ever work as a cop again, I can tell you that much. It's a tangled web we weave when we conspire to deceive, and even though the bigger the lie, the more likely people are to believe it, that house of cards has to come down eventually. Information is on a need-to-know basis, and somebody needed to know. Credibility and integrity. It's the only currency that matters in this kind of playing field. I hold these truths to be self-evident. And as it's been proven over and over again, the pen is mightier than the sword, which in this case, the pen was a laptop computer. Bobby Fischer, the greatest chess player of all time, became known for his 21-move brilliancy after winning a chess game in 21 moves. I managed to do it in 17. Matthew 10:8, heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, drive out demons, freely you have received, freely give. Now this was a story about a man whose story is yet to be told, and a security guard who cared, and just so happened to stumble across a clue in his pursuit of justice, which led to the discovery of a crime against a man known as John Doe. At first, authorities refused to investigate the case, and laughed at the idea that Holmes could have faked his death, and I told them then that they wouldn't have a choice but to investigate. They're not laughing anymore. The only questions that remain are who did Holmes murder, and where is Holmes now? And was the FBI willing to play Where's Waldo to try and find him? Some say Holmes was a rogue mercenary, a double agent of some sort, a freelance terrorist even. I don't know, sounds a bit too far-fetched to me. Besides, that's above my pay grade. But what I do know is that between then and now, all the studying, training, and hard work finally paid off. And sometimes that's just what it takes to crack a case. Hey, after all, I learned from the best that the Federal Bureau has to offer, which is why I can understand both sides of an argument. The feds have always had a funny way of making friends, which is why every once in a while you gotta make them come to you. And when you open up Pandora's box, it's no longer a matter of if, but a matter of when. Time tells the story as it really is. And in my heart, I knew all along that if I was consistent and believed in my uneducated guess, someone would hear what I had to say, and the investigation would come into fruition. They say every good story has a good ending, and this particular story only has a beginning. So on that note, yippee-ki-yay, yee-haw, and das vidanya, signing off, yours truly, the White Rabbit.